All right, and all right. Come on in. Get comfortable this evening. It is your guy, Mark My Words. We're gonna do a little Q&A this evening, a little masculinity Q&A. So, got a couple emails from a couple young men, and they had some questions, some situations that they want me to give them advice on. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Now, if you are new to this channel, okay, you're new to this page, new to this live. My name is Mark My Words. I give relationship advice, fatherhood advice, spirituality. We talk about things like masculinity, honesty, volunteering, things like that real men go through. All right. So if you feel inclined to submit a question or some type of situation that you want me to feature on a Q&A, please do so by emailing me at coachmark22@gmail.com. That is coachmark with a C 22@gmail.com. Now, also, you will hear some situations that hit near and dear to your heart, okay? And you might be going through some of the situations that these guys are going through. You might need some one-on-one attention or some personal coaching. If that is the case, there's a link down in the description to book a consultation call with me. If you feel like you need that, please do so. We'll get on the Zoom. We'll talk about it a little bit. We'll figure out if we need to establish a relationship or not. All right. So without no further ado, I just ask you to share the post, like and subscribe to the page as well. When you like the live, when you like the videos, when you like the shorts, right? And this is for anybody's page that lets people know that the content they're putting out is worthy. You understand? So it does that for me as well. So I really appreciate when you guys hit the like button and you subscribe as well. Hit your notification bell as well so you get notified when I'm putting out a new post, a new video, man. We just really getting rolling. I've been on here for a little bit, but we're really getting rolling. We're going to do some good stuff on here. Got some good interviews coming up later on. And Monday through Thursday, that is Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be going live doing Q&As. We'll be talking about some masculinity subjects, some relationship topics as well, but all things that cater to men, even though sometimes the questions will be submitted by women, the situations will be submitted by women, but it's always a chance for us men to learn more about what we need to be doing in relationships, fatherhood, like I said, financially, a lot of things that we go through as men. All right. So we don't close it off just to men as far as the submissions, but we're speaking on behalf of men and we're working with men so that we can get better. Basically, that's what we're on here to do. All right. So make sure you put your comments in the chat. I greatly appreciate that. Listen, when I give advice, that's amazing. Okay. I'm really good at this. But it's really good for somebody to look and see that not only were they given advice by somebody that does this for a living, but there are other people who say, hey, bro, I went through this before. You're going to get through this. Hey, bro, I went through this before. You should get a lawyer. Hey, bro, I went through this before. You're going to be fine. Hard times don't last forever. You understand what I mean? So in the chat, it really helps when people can look and get comments from the viewers. All right. So make sure you do that. Now, we're just gonna start it off, man. I got a couple for y'all. We ain't gonna be on here too long tonight. All right. We normally stay on about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. So, first one, I'm trying to raise my son to be a strong man, but I don't want to raise him to be cold or hard. How do I teach him discipline and confidence without making him emotionally distant? What did you do differently with your boys? Wow. That's a deep one. That's a deep one, bro. And a lot of guys can identify with that because most of us are fathers or we will be fathers at some point. You know what I mean? Probably 7 to 8 out of 10 guys end up being a father at some point, maybe a stepfather or even an uncle, bro. You know what I mean? A godparent. So there's many different ways you can impact youth. Okay. So with me, I've said it before on a live or two before. I have 4 boys. All right. So I got 26-year-old, a 19-year-old. Then I have 2 bonus boys. They're 7 and 5 years old. Okay. So I got a wide range of experiences to go from. You said you want to raise your son to be a strong man, right? And when we talk about strong, a lot of us go right to physicality. We're thinking, oh, we got to have him playing sports. He got to be, doing push-ups at 8 years old. He got to be physically strong. Okay. Now, being physically strong helps just like it would if it would help you. But I think we're all to a point where we realize the real strength comes from your mental and emotional strength, right? How strong are you when times get tough? How good are you when you don't feel like going to work? How good are you when you experience a loss? So when you're talking about raising your son to be a strong man, I would hone in on those things. Okay. I would make sure that I'm curating this young man to be a strong man mentally and emotionally. Okay. So It's funny because you talked about discipline, and that's how he becomes a strong boy and then turn into a young man mentally and emotionally. It's through discipline, bro. It's through discipline, right? One of the easiest ways you can do that is setting schedules and not barometers, but schedules and like parameters for him to live by every day. So let's just say you set him up a little schedule for after school. Okay, when you come home, you got 30 minutes, you got to eat. By 4 o'clock, you got to be doing homework from 4 to 5:30. At 5:30, you're allowed to go out and play for an hour. You come in, you eat with the family. Then it's shower time, and it's time for you to relax for like another hour or so, right? What a little schedule do, even for a smaller kid, bro, they're always thinking, all right, what's next? I have 30 minutes to do this, so I better make it worth it, right? It does the same thing it's going to do for you. And what that does is also when the time is up, so you'll see it with kids when they're doing something they enjoy and they have to leave that activity to go do something that they might not enjoy as much. And at first they get a little salty about it, but then it starts to become a routine. And what you see with a smaller child is that they then start understanding, okay, I can do what I want to do, but I also got to do what I have to do. I can do what I want to do, but it might have to be after I do what I have to do. You understand? So what he ends up doing is being able to cope with disappointment, even when he's having fun at school. The bell goes off there at recess. He's not the one that the teacher has to say, yo, little Bobby, you got to get in line. Recess is over. He might be the first one in line. Oh, I'm used to this. I do this every day at home. I'm outside playing with my friends, and when my dad said come to the house, it's time to come in. I got to deal with this every day. So then when he starts playing sports, he has to deal with it as well. Oh, the ref made a bad call. Oh, so what? That happens because my dad has prepared me for this through discipline. And by the time they get 11 or 12, bro, they're light years ahead of the kids who haven't been prepared for bad things that's going to happen to them emotionally and even tough things mentally, right? So through the discipline, you can raise him up to be a strong kid mentally and emotionally. Now, you said you want him to have confidence, but you don't want him to be emotionally distant when he gets older, okay? Now, you have to understand, bro, where there's facts, feelings and facts, it's hard for them to live in the same place, bro. Where there's a bunch of facts, there's normally no feelings. And where there's a bunch of feelings, there's normally no facts. There's just opinions. So you got to realize if you're bringing him up to be a strong kid mentally and emotionally, bro, that's not saying that he can't show emotion, but he's not going to lead with it. He's not going to lead with it, bro. Now you can show him, hey, it's okay to say, hey, I'm tired today. I'm really tired and I don't feel like doing anything. It's okay for him to express it because that's what I would do with my kids. Hey, bro, it's okay for you to say you're tired today. It's not okay for you not to show up, though. It's okay to say I'm upset that I lost the game. It's not okay for you to act like a jerk for the rest of the day. So where it's okay for you where it's good for you to show him how he can show his emotions and express them a little bit. But he has to know that he can't lead with them because he will fail. He can't lead with them because he will fail. So he doesn't have to be emotionally distant from his friends or his teammates or his coaches or in the future his partners. But he can't lead with that because if his wife at some point asks him, hey, I need you to do a couple things today while I'm at work and I need those things done when I get home, he might not feel like doing them. But if he says he's going to do them, he has to know, oh, I promised her and I keep promises. So I have to do it even if I feel like it or not. So what you're doing is you're training him right now to be a husband, to be a father, to be an employee or a business owner, right? To be a neighbor, an uncle, right? At some point, he's going to be a granddad. You're training him now. So although I know you don't want him to be emotionally distant, he can't lead with emotions. So I would say it's easier for a kid to become more emotionally invested as they get older, but the discipline is hard to put in when you get older. If you're the kid that could just do whatever they want and emotions ran your life until you were 15, it's hard then to turn that around, okay? And the discipline and the mental strength, the emotional strength will build a lot of confidence in him, okay? And just one more thing, I had to learn in my older years to talk to them about things that's going on with me, even though I think they don't want to hear about it, right? So that lets them understand, okay, my dad gets up, he goes to the gym, he goes to work every day, he comes home, he does yard work, but he still has feelings. So you can start talking to him about things that you're going through that you might not think he even understands. Hey, bro, I was at work today, and man, my partner, he just wasn't really productive today, man. So I knew he needed some lunch. So I went and bought him some lunch, man. It made him feel really good. And then he kind of turned it up as the day went on. But like it was kind of tough on me today, and boom, boom, boom. So when they see that side of you, they're like, oh, I can be strong, but I can also have some feelings. I just can't let it run my day. You know what I mean? So that was a real good question, bro. I appreciate that. Now, if you want to contact me and give me a situation, please hit me up at coachmark22@gmail.com, baby. All right. And we'll get your question or your situation on here as quickly as possible. That's what we do Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Now, the next one. As a black man in corporate America, I often feel like I have to shrink myself to be accepted. How do I stay true to my masculine identity in a system that seems to fear or misunderstand it? Is it possible to succeed without compromising who I am? So I messed that up a little bit, guys. But he was saying basically, as a black man in corporate America, how can he not have to shrink himself, right, to fit in? And is his masculine identity and his confidence feared too much by his peers? And so how can he succeed and keep himself in his frame? So this is very, very important, because a lot of us are in situations where we kind of think that our frame has to be compromised. Okay. When we say frame, that means being your true self, your most authentic self, and doing what you know you should be doing. Okay. Now that doesn't mean being a jerk just because you feel like being a jerk. But if your frame is, if you're a confident person and you walk with your head held high and your chest out, bro, you don't tuck that in for anybody. Okay. That's kind of what we mean. So it's very important, bro. You have to understand something. You're in corporate America. So no matter what company you work for, if you own your own company, no matter what building you work in, what state you work in, what country you work in, right? People are always going to be intimidated by strong masculine men. They're always going to be intimidated by strong, confident, masculine men. And that doesn't have a color, I don't think. Not myself. I think people will always be jealous or they're always just going to be jealous of that. All right. Now, what I've done in my life before and what I've heard a lot of guys do before is shrink, like you said. Oh, bro, I just be trying to fit in, so I don't say too much. Oh, I don't want to rock the boat, so I don't take leadership. I just let them lead, even if we're going to mess up. I don't say too much. Oh yeah, man. I try to shrink myself whenever I get compliments. I tell them guys, oh nah, I'm really not in that good of shape, man. I just play around in the weight room a little bit. What happens is every time you shrink yourself, bro, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to them and you're lying to yourself. Also, your confidence goes down because every time you say the words, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I used to play a little bit in college, but I wasn't even that good. Oh, yeah, my car is okay, but man, it got 100,000 miles on it. It's really not all that. Oh, these suits aren't that expensive, man. I get a discount on them. Every time you shrink yourself, you hear yourself talking, bro. And you start to believe some of the stuff you say. It's weird, but you start believing it. So you being black in corporate America, bro, you can't change that, right? And you can't change that we're in America in 2025, bro. Most of the people in corporate America don't look like you. They do not, right? But, bro, you work too hard. I would imagine that you worked very hard. I would imagine you had some type of secondary education. I would imagine that you put in overtime in an internship and you've done a lot to get where you are. So guess what? Doesn't matter how many people feel some type of way about how strong and confident you are. Doesn't matter how many people feel some type of way about you being an educated black man. Doesn't matter because they're going to feel some type of way. Those type of people feel some type of way about all types of stuff, not just you. They feel some type of way about other cars in a parking garage. They feel some type of way about the higher ups. They feel some type of way about their neighbors because they might have a nicer looking lawn. Hey, bro, those type people, you can never satisfy them. So shrinking yourself is doing nothing but damaging you. You understand? And you have to realize something. I tell people this when they're applying for a job or they're shopping for a car or trying to buy a house. You don't have to be accepted everywhere. You just have to be accepted somewhere. Bro, you don't need everybody to like you in your building. You don't need everyone in your company to think you're valuable. You need the people that hire you and pay you. And normally that's 1, 2, or 3 people, perhaps. They might be intimidated by you too. Or they might just misunderstand your culture. That's okay. We always talk about habits on here. Bro, if you got good habits, if you're punctual, if you're keeping your appearance together, you understand me? If you're going 100%, if you're a good human being around the office, guess what? If they get rid of you, somebody be glad to take you because of your habits. People always want good human beings, bro. People always want confident masculine men to step up and take leadership roles. People always want a punctual man that goes 100% every day. You'll always be able to find a job because your habits are straight. And when you stay in your frame, bro, your confidence stays high. So you start feeling like, you know what? If this doesn't go wrong, I know I can get somewhere else. But if you're always shrinking yourself to fit in, fam, if you're always trying to minimize your qualities and all your good characteristics, you start believing that your confidence starts going down. And eventually, you aren't as valuable as you. So I say to it all, man, and forget who doesn't understand you. God made you. Hey, bro, he ain't make no mistakes when he made you. And you worked too hard to get here. So guess what, bro? I don't care what industry you in. We in America, bro. They gonna feel some type of way about you at any job. I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. All right. That was a good one, though. Good question. Now, make sure that you email me at coachmark22@gmail.com. That is Coach Mark with a C. If you have a question, right? Or some type of submission, an email that you want me to put up on a Q&A. If you might have a longer form story, guys, I like the long form stories because it gives me details. When you give me details in an email, I'm able to really get into your situation and give you real detailed and extensive advice. All right. Now, sometimes I come on here and I'll just take one email submission, a longer one, and I'll do a whole Q&A just on that. Okay. So in the future, we'll take longer submissions. I'll give advice on it. And then as the questions and comments come through the chat, we'll talk about that at the end as well. All right. So guys, be transparent, man. I'll always keep you anonymous, never use your name or your location, nothing like that. But man, guys got to have spaces to talk and talk things through. You know what I'm saying? That's why we do this. So the next one, how do you handle criticism as a man without becoming defensive? I want to be better, but sometimes I feel attacked when people correct me. What's the best way to grow without losing your sense of self? Boy, that's kind of real. So how do you handle criticism as a man? So I talked about this with the first guy, right? He was talking about his son becoming more confident, right? And how when you're being raised by a male figure, he puts certain things in play and he puts certain parameters around your life and around the house that prepare you for being a grown man, prepare you for life. Okay. Now you're saying that you don't handle criticism well and you become defensive. That's what I'm taking from that, right? You want to be better, but you feel attacked when people correct you. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you didn't grow up with a male figure in your home. Now, I normally don't like making assumptions like that, bro, without you putting details in it. But normally when you grow up with a father, right, a stepfather, even if your grandpa raised you, if you had a couple brothers, right, normally they hold you accountable from the time you can walk and talk. From the time you can walk and talk, your brothers and your father hold you accountable. So whenever I hear a man talking about, I don't like when people correct me or criticize me, or I feel attacked, or I don't take this and this and that, well, it's normally because it's coming from a place of accountability. And if you grew up with women, they don't hold you accountable the same way men do. They do not. They do not. They do not. Now, because of that, you were just trained differently. Guys, let's be clear about something. If you didn't have a male figure in your house, that doesn't mean you're less of a man. Okay? You were just trained differently. Okay? So there were certain things that mom wouldn't say to you or your sister wouldn't say to you because they didn't want to make you upset. Because women don't like making their little brother or their son or their older brother unhappy. Okay? So they don't give you the same level of accountability that a man would. That's why two-parent households are critical for any kid. I don't care what culture you come from. Any kid, they need both parents. So if you lacked one, which, like I said, it seems like in this situation you lack that, because if you had a male figure in your home, bro, you will be used to criticism. Pop's gonna find something to criticize you. Listen, there's some days I find stuff to criticize my kids about. Y'all little niggas ain't perfect. You understand me? Y'all got something. Y'all doing something wrong. Let me just look around for a little bit. That's what we do, right? So if you had a father in your home or a father figure, right, for the whole time, because you might have had one of them until he's like 9 or something. Your parents got split up. Maybe, I don't know what happened. But most likely you would have had somebody holding you accountable. Now, so how do you move on from that, right? And I was just addressing that because you can't expect to be where other guys are when you didn't have that. And they did. We expect everybody to be the same at 25 years old. Well, all of us had different upbringing, bro. Especially if you had a father in the crib, a stable father, and a dude didn't have a stable father. You guys aren't the same. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So how do you move on from that? Well, bro, what I think is you have to hold yourself accountable every day with every little thing. The way you do that is you get a schedule together for yourself for every single day and you fill it up with stuff. And sometimes those time blocks are relax in the backyard. Sometimes those time blocks are read. Sometimes those time blocks are watch some comedy, right? So when you design this schedule, you start holding yourself accountable. I only got 5 more minutes, just like we talked about the little kid. Oh, I got to go do this. Oh, I forgot I got to go do this. And you start holding yourself accountable for that schedule. You start making yourself to-do lists every day. No matter what it is on the list, doesn't matter. And you do everything on the list and you check it off. And if you don't do it, then you got to do it tomorrow. Okay. You start holding yourself accountable. See, what happens is when we hold ourselves to a certain standard, we then are not taken back when someone else holds us to a different standard because we're used to it. When we walk in the building late and somebody says, oh, you're late. And yo, you know what? You're right. My fault. Because you were beating yourself up in the car on the way there for being late. Because if you establish a pattern of being punctual, bro, you won't like to be late. It'll bug the shit out of you. Okay? You got to start holding yourself accountable. You got to start walking around your place like, man, I got to clean up. Man, let me clean up right now. I need to clean out my car. Let me clean out my car right now. I got these past due bills and man, I got a bank account full of money. I'm just playing around, not paying them. Let me pay them right now. When you start tightening your stuff up, bro, when you have a schedule for yourself, when you have to-do lists, when you have goals, right? And you have them written down and you read them every day. You start holding yourself accountable. And then when other people start holding you accountable, it doesn't sound foreign to you. It sounds like music to your ears because you welcome it. Oh, I ain't even realize I'm glad you told me that. I'm going to be better. Let me put that in my phone so I don't forget. That's how you start doing because you want to be better. So I understand you might not have been brought up in a situation where people were holding you accountable and criticizing you, bro. So now you got to do it to yourself. You have to do it for yourself. And as soon as you do that, and as soon as you start putting it into your daily regimen, hey, bro, I'm telling you, it's going to sound like music to your ears when somebody criticizes you, and the criticisms will lessen. You understand me? The accountability will lessen because you're going to be holding your own self accountable. People ain't going to have to criticize you too much because you're going to tighten up. You understand? I'm going to leave you with this. One of the things I do is I count my wins in my phone every day. So I got like a little notepad and I count my wins. Every time I read for 10 or 15 minutes, that's a win. Every time I listen to a positive video on YouTube, that's a win. Every time I have a positive conversation, coworker, neighbor, stranger on the street, a friend, a family member, that's a win. When you start recording your wins, the next day, now you're trying to match that. And so every time you get somewhere on time, that's a win. Every time somebody criticize you or tell you something that you did wrong and you take the criticism positively and you correct it, that's a win. And what that ends up doing is giving you a lot of confidence that you're doing the right things, but also you reflect on it every day and you're like, man, I want to match that tomorrow. I want to do better tomorrow. I got like 12 wins today. How can I get 13 tomorrow? And then the criticism, and when people hold you accountable, I'm telling you, bro, it starts to disappear because they're like, man, you on point, bro. You really get stuff done. And people love that. People love a dude who holds himself accountable and gets stuff done. But I got faith in you, homeboy. All right? You start doing what I said. It's about building little habits. And you'll see things will turn around. All right? That was a good one, though. Make sure you email me at coachmark22@gmail.com if you have a situation like that or another one that you would like to be featured on the Q&A. All right? So, next one. I've been dating a strong, successful woman, and it's messing with my head a little bit. I support her, but I feel like I've lost my role as a provider. Can men still lead when their partner earns more? Uh-oh. Boy, this type of question and content hits a nerve with some men, bro. Hits a nerve. You hear me? So, strong, successful woman. He's dating her, and it's messing with his head a little bit because he's not the breadwinner. So, he's saying, how can he still lead when his partner earns more? Well, first of all, let's be clear about something, man. Because I think that this is starting to get a bad rap in a lot of situations, and we got to correct this, okay? We got to correct this. I truly believe that we are putting way too much focus on who makes more. It's 2025, bro. There are some highly educated women. There are some highly driven women. There are women who are being brought up in great homes, and their parents are setting them up for success. Okay. They have to date someone. Okay. The successful women have to date someone. We can't see this as a negative, guys. You know what I'm saying? We can't see success and a woman who profits well as a negative. If she was taught how to budget, how to work her finances properly, she's going to be in a good financial position as well. We can't look at that as kryptonite. Okay. So just want to make sure we understand, guys, because some of y'all watching, I know that you think about it sometimes and you're like, man, I don't know if I would like that. I don't know if I like her making more than me. That only becomes a problem, fam. Number one, if you aren't on your mission. If you aren't on your mission and your masculinity is not where it needs to be, that's when that becomes a problem. And number two, that also becomes a problem when she don't like you that much. You'll hear me say this a lot. Shout out to the homie Goldie, the game god. All right. I like who likes me. Fam, if you like who likes you and they like you just a little bit more or a lot more than you like them, you don't run into this type issue. But that's not what you asked. You asked, how can you lead the situation if she makes more? So her being successful is not a problem. Her being accomplished is not a problem. Her making a lot of money is not a problem. She might make, it might be a time where she make way more than what you like. Chasing this whole tax return thing, bro, this might end up crazy because you might be a truck driver, let's just say. And you might have a great career driving for FedEx and make $100,000 a year. And you might get about a $10,000 to $12,000 increase every year. But bro, if she's a surgeon or a dentist, or a veterinarian, perhaps high-level nurse, she could be in law. She could be doing a lot of things that she's tripling your salary, fam. And every time she gets an increase, it doubles her. Like, you don't know what chasing that woman's salary is never going to work. Okay. So that's the first thing. Not that you said you were going to do that, but I just want to let you know, take the focus off of that. Okay. She's strong and successful, and that's cool. Okay. As long as she allows you to play your role with her. If you're allowed to play your role, bro, you won't have any problem leading. But this is what'll happen. We expect for this strong, successful, accomplished woman to follow a man who can't even make up his bed. We will expect this woman to follow a man who can't repair his credit, even though he has the money, right? We can't expect this strong, successful woman to follow a man who doesn't take care of his health, who doesn't have any type of spirituality. Bro, listen, women have to have something to follow. She can't necessarily follow you in the financial department because you're not making more than her, okay? But you can be a great steward over your finances. You can be the one that makes sure you guys make smart investments. You can be the one that makes sure you guys stay within your budget, because everybody has a budget, huh? You can have her follow you spiritually with her health and fitness. You can show her how to lead as a father, huh? There can be a lot of ways, bro. How you treat your friends and family. So if you're a man of some principle and some character, and that's all up to you. You can build all that stuff if you haven't built it already. I'm not saying you haven't. That's the stuff she's going to end up following. The tax return thing, bro, that might be like, hey, you're probably going to lose that battle. I ain't going to hold you. That's not worth fighting. But what you have to understand is that if you're doing what you know you need to be doing, and most of you know the areas that you're deficient, right? Oh, Mark, I be drinking a little too much. I watch a little bit too many sports. Then I be gambling. You know what I mean? I go to the sports bar with my homies. Then I be out too late. I don't always walk the dog when I'm supposed to. Man, I keep telling my lady I'm going to take her on vacation. I keep breaking plans. If you're doing all those things, fam, you know you're doing wrong. And she can't follow that. She cannot follow that, and you shouldn't expect her to. But if you're tight, and you got a nice schedule, like I was telling the man before this, and you're taking some control over your health and fitness, and you're being and you're keeping your area clean, even around the house, in your desk, at your office, in your car. If you're doing those type of things, bro, most women won't have a problem following your lead, but they have to have something to follow. Okay. I always tell men this: if you couldn't get men to follow you, why should you expect women to? So if there are not a few men who say, hey, bro, how'd you get that done? Or, bro, how do you keep yourself from drinking too much? Or, bro, how do you keep yourself in such good shape? Man, how do you stay intact with your spirituality or your religion? I want to learn how to do that. If there aren't a couple men that you know that look up to you or follow you, most likely a woman is not going to either. And again, bro, all of these things are under your control. Now, I will tell you this last part. If she likes you enough, meaning that hey, bro, if she likes you enough or not, because she's probably a little annoying. She's probably a little annoying. Either she calls a lot, texts a lot, always wants to be around you, gets a little sad when you go places, always wants to touch on you, always want to post pictures of you, always want to tell people about your relationship, this how we got engaged or whatever. If she does all that, bro, she likes you a lot. And if she doesn't, she don't. So if she don't like you that much, this money is going to be a problem. And she's never going to follow you. And I know you get into these relationships and you're like, nah, we in a relationship. She liked me. Yeah, she needed somebody to be with. She don't like you that much. And bro, most of the time we know the answer to that question. Most of the time it's undeniable. There's not as much of a gray area as we think. And the reason why I brought that up is because the whole her making more than you only affects you when she doesn't like you that much. If she likes you a lot, y'all will have a joint bank account. So your money and her money is y'all money. You understand? But if it ain't y'all money and y'all been together more than a year or two, she don't like you that much. Okay. So you might have to address that as well. But I always say, let's look at ourselves first in the mirror, and let's make sure that we're doing things, small things that we can do every day that are worthy of someone following us. But her money, her tax bracket, bro, that's really not the issue. You know what I'm saying? Valuable question though, my man, and good situation, because a lot of our men, especially in 2025, man, we got to get used to the women that you should be attracted to. Let's be clear, that you should be dating. They should be successful in whatever genre they're in. That's not saying they need to be masculine. It's not saying they need to be controlling. That's just saying if you are dating on a high level, bro, a lot of them are going to make some money. This isn't 1960. So let's get used to dating women who have resources, man. That's not that should take nothing away from what you are as a man. You understand? But I appreciate you for writing in, bro. All right. So we're gonna get into one last one today. You know what I mean? Says my father was never in my life, and I'm realizing how much that shaped my ideas of masculinity. How do I unlearn the toxic parts and rebuild my manhood on something solid? Where do I even begin? That's a deep one, my man, but I'm glad that one came last. I enjoy talking about fatherhood topics, bro, because there is no handbook to being a dad, man. A lot of us became dads when we were young, and so we had to learn on the fly. We made a lot of mistakes, bro, myself included. I made enough for everybody in this room. So whenever I see a question or submission about, fatherhood, that warms me up, because man, we can never, like, you never stop learning. This is a continuous process, bro. Continuous process. It never stops. All right. So I'm glad you wrote in with that. So said my father was never in my life, and I'm realizing how much that shaped my ideas of masculinity. How do I unlearn the toxic parts and rebuild my manhood on something solid? So, all right. Your father was never in your life. And we talked about this already tonight, about how when you don't have a solid male figure in your home, you're left with a deficit, man. And again, that ain't black, that ain't white, that ain't Mexican, that ain't Puerto Rican, that ain't African. It don't matter what culture you in. If you don't have that man walking around your house, bro, that you can look up to and model your actions after, you will be at a deficit. Okay. So it seems like, fam, you already realized, man, that was a big deal. But the funny thing is, you don't start realizing that till you're a grown man. And I ain't talking about 21. I ain't talking about 24. I'm talking about you be 30 and you like, wait, oh, if I'd have had a dad, I probably wouldn't have went through that when I was 20 years. Oh, I probably wouldn't have went through that when I was 19. I probably wouldn't have got suckered into that bad business deal. Huh? So when you realize it, a lot of times it's late. It's late, bro. It's late. Now, what we think is masculine, when we don't have a man in the home, we have to look towards whatever media we're consuming. Okay. So for a lot of us, we saw male figures on TV every day. We saw it in the videos, in the music. We saw it in magazines. We saw it on movies. Okay. And that's what we thought masculinity was. You got to be tough. You got to be ready to fight. You got to cuss a motherfucker out. You got to do whatever you got to do sometimes. Right. And that's what we thought masculinity was. Now, to some of us, like myself, that, we came from separated homes throughout our childhood. So my parents they split up when I was younger. So I had an idea of what masculinity looked like, but in teenage years, then I don't have it right in front of me. So what you're seeing when you're 9, that changes when you're 14, your lens changes. So had I been seeing it at 14, 15, 16 every day, right, in my home, it would have made me a different young man. My dad was around, he was present, but he wasn't inside of my home. Okay. So when you don't have that, when you go through puberty and you start to become masculine as a young man, or try to, you start doing things that you think will make you masculine. You think it's going to make you look masculine or sound masculine. You think girls are going to like you because you do certain things. So you're always at a deficit. So I can clearly understand what you're talking about, as far as, man, I was doing stuff that probably ended up being a little bit toxic, and now I'm trying to rebuild, right? So you said you're trying to rebuild your manhood on something solid and get rid of toxic ways. So I'm here to tell you, bro, that you are not alone when we're talking about toxicity and what we've learned through the music, through media, through movies, television. Man, it was bad, right? It was bad. It's still bad. Let's be clear. Okay. So you don't have to feel ashamed about not knowing how to be a man. But I talk about this in the book on masculinity, homie. There are many different phases to masculinity, right? And they go on continuously throughout your life. Spirituality, honesty and integrity, respect and honor, fatherhood, how you operate in relationships, your health and your fitness, your nutrition, how you operate financially. Okay. Number one, what I always suggest my guys to do is perhaps contact a masculinity coach. I'm a masculinity coach, but I'm not the only one. Okay. A masculinity coach or some type of life coach will help you in the areas that you are deficient. And even if you work with them for 3 to 6 months, they can give you some habits and some things to do to get yourself on track in the areas that you're deficient. Okay. Because you have a lot of toxic ways that you probably have to unlearn. Okay. That's number one. Number two, most likely, you know some men that you look up to, some masculine men, whether it be at your church, your neighborhood, at your job, in your business, in your family, perhaps. Okay. You need to tell them, hey, bro, I need to come do lunch with you or get coffee or have dinner because I got some questions to ask you. Most of the time, if a grown man knows that you want to talk about some things and you lay that question out the same way you laid it to me, they'll be glad, and I mean super happy, to sit down and talk with you. Because most likely, bro, even if they had a father in their home, they made mistakes as well as a grown man. And they don't have to be older guys. Sometimes they could be guys your age, man. But if he had a father growing up, it's a good chance he didn't go through the toxic period that you went through. You understand? So along with perhaps getting a coach or a mentor, just have a session, man. Have a little Q&A session with a man or two that you idolize, or I don't want to say idolize, but a man that you look up to. And you tell him just like that, bro, I look up to you. I'm trying to make some changes in my life. I just want to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes, see if I could bounce some ideas off you, see what you think, right? So what's going to happen is most likely that man, if he cares about you, he's going to want to see you again. Hey, bro, come holler at me in 2 weeks. Let's do this again in 2 weeks. I want to see where you, hey, call me when you need me, bro. Normally, a man that takes the time out to talk to you about something like this, he will also be okay continuing the situation with you so that he can help you along the way. Because, bro, it's not easy, right? It's not, hey, being a man is not easy, homie. Okay. Now, I'm always gonna point towards small habits and building yourself up little by little. So I always start with your health and fitness, fam. Your health and fitness. Let me tell you something. It is hard for your life to be in shambles, bro, when your health and fitness is on point. It's hard. It is. I'm telling you, it's almost impossible, I think. I think it's almost impossible because the things that you have to do to have your nutrition on point and to be successful with your health and fitness, you have to, it's hard for your life for the rest of your life to be in shambles. So I would always suggest that you get yourself together in the gym, bro. Outside, however you got to do it, get in shape. Get in shape, bro. And that's going to take care of a lot of things and start you off on the right path. I say to make sure your spiritual base is cool. So either you go to church, you go to a temple, or you just have some meditation and some prayer time, bro. I will get some spirituality about me. Okay. And that might just be, taking a couple minutes every day just to pray a little bit. I would also say, fam, you got to remove negativity out of your life. That's negative people. That's negative situations. That's vices. That's negative TV shows, negative music. And if you start writing down all the things, this is what I tell people to do. How do I know if it's negative, Mark? How do I know if it's negative? Would you do it in front of your grandmother and your children? Not your grandmother or your children, but your grandmother and your children. Would you want this person you communicate with watching your children? Would you take your children to this place that you visit or your grandmother? Would you participate in these activities around your grandmother or your children? So make a list of those things. And when you make a list of those things, you'll start to realize what you need to remove. Now think about this. You start removing negativity out your life. You get some type of strong spiritual base. And again, that just might mean praying every day, bro. It doesn't always mean being in church all the time, but maybe you watch some stuff on YouTube that has something to do with a religion you've been interested in. You understand? You then get around a couple older guys and do a little Q&A session with them. I got some questions to ask you about manhood, bro, because I'm trying to get myself together and unlearn some toxic things. And then, bro, you get a masculinity coach or some type of mentor, and you might have to pay for them. Okay? Link is in the description. Bro, by the time you do those 5 things, you're going to see your life shift in a major way. And you're going to forget that you didn't have a father growing up. You're going to forget about that. But I understand why you're in the spot you're in. And that's okay, because a lot of guys are. So when you bring up a question like this, when you bring up a submission like this, it hits home, because I know so many men that are at a deficit just because their parents couldn't work it out. You know what I mean? And it might have been that dad was involved, but, oh, I only see dad 3 days and I'm with mom 4. But regardless, bro, that's 4 days that you don't have an example of what a man does day in, day out. You know what I mean? So very important question, man. Very good submission. And hopefully I was able to give you some valuable advice. All right. Now, if you are someone like this guy that needs some mentorship or some coaching or some one-on-one attention with stuff like this, manhood, spirituality, health and fitness, respect and honesty, becoming better as a partner in a relationship, becoming a better father, if that is the case, go down in the description, book a consultation call with me. We'll see if some one-on-one coaching fits right for you. All right. Now, if you just have an email, a submission, a question, a long form letter that you want to send me, we'll keep you anonymous, but please do that to coachmark22@gmail.com. That is Coach Mark with a C, 22@gmail.com. I will make sure your question or submission gets on a Q&A. Now, brothers, we're going to be on here Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. But if you missed the live, you can come back on the page at any time and click right on it and watch. Okay. But I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's always special when people spend their time with me, because I know how valuable my time is, and I would imagine the same is for you. So when you spend it with me, I appreciate that. All right. So make sure you like and subscribe to post, and make sure to come back, man. It's Thursday night, but we're going to be back next Monday with some more questions, some more topics, some more things for us to get into. So I enjoyed spending some time with you, bro, and we'll get back to it next week. All right. It is your guy. Mark my words.